What do you think are the best opportunities today for the next few years?
I think that the most interesting opportunity right now is AI enablement for small and medium-sized businesses. If you are a young person right now and you are technologically savvy, you could be making an enormous amount of money by consulting directly with companies that have no idea how to use AI or implement it into their workflows. Huge companies can go and afford McKinsey or Bain or whoever to come in and do this for them on these enormous projects. But small and medium-sized businesses are not getting hit up by those big consultancies. And you as an individual can go out and build a legitimate high cash flow consulting business going in and doing this. And it's pretty easy. Like you're going into businesses that are fundamentally pretty simple. You're going and evaluating their workflows. You basically have them record everything they're doing. You maybe go in and spend a couple days there. And then you're effectively just going to create a playbook for them on how to implement AI to improve their workflows. I think that a young person that understands AI and like has a pretty decent understanding of some of the models that are out there and the capabilities can go build an $100,000 a month business doing that very quickly.
And what's holding them back?
Agency to go and do it. I mean, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, right? Like you have to go send 100 cold messages to people. You have to create pitch decks. You have to actually, build up some level of confidence to go into these rooms as a young person and be able to help them with this thing. Part of that is just recognizing that you have a completely unique lens on the world that these companies run by slightly older people do not have. Like my mom runs a small business, and she's constantly asking me, like, how should I be using AI for these things? And I'll give her the most basic thing that she should do, whatever it is. And it's like world changing. The most basic thing. So you also have to realize that like for a lot of these operations that you'll go into, you're not going to have to like wow them with some extraordinary new use case. Like sometimes it's just giving them the system to implement something very basic that will very quickly create a meaningful impact for them.
So I was reading earlier today that users of ChatGPT are reporting lower levels of like brain function because they become so reliant on ChatGPT. What are your thoughts on the future of people just becoming too reliant on this? Because I'm finding now that like when I get a text sometimes and I maybe hastily would write something, I'm now screenshotting texts to ChatGPT and I'm saying, give me a good response to this. And it's just giving me like a nice response. And I hate to say it, but the responses are better than what I would have written. They sound a lot gentler.
I think I think we're cooked. I mean, I have a 3-year-old kid, right? So like when you have a kid, you are fundamentally going along the future. You're having a kid, you're like betting on the future in a lot of ways in a really meaningful way. I'm terrified. I think that there are a number of like meaningful causes for concern. I think on the thinking front, this is my most immediate near-term one, which is we are outsourcing our general thinking to these models. And if you think in a simple sense, what you outsource in life will atrophy. If I go hire a private chef, after a couple months, I'm going to suck at cooking because I outsourced the thing. So I'm not going to be good at it. I'm not flexing the muscle in any way. If you start outsourcing all of your general thinking to these models, you are no longer going to be thinking as much. You're not going to be wrestling with ideas in your head. You're not going to be sitting there with them. As a result, that is going to atrophy. There's this story of Max Planck. You know who he is? Max Planck. He's the German Nobel Prize winning physicist, and he goes on this like tour around Germany after winning the Nobel Prize, and he's giving lectures everywhere. And his chauffeur is driving him around to all these things, and the chauffeur says to him, "Like I've listened to you give 100 of these. I could just give this whole lecture. I've memorized it." And so Max Planck says, "Like sure, go up and do it." Gives him his tie, and the chauffeur goes up on stage and gives the whole lecture perfectly from end to end. The crowd doesn't even know. They all stand up and applaud. And then someone asks a pretty simple question, and the chauffeur is like, that's such a simple question. I'm going to have my chauffeur in the back answer it. And it's Max Planck standing there with a chauffeur hat on. The point is, there's really two types of knowledge. There's real knowledge, and then there's chauffeur knowledge. Like chauffeur knowledge is that surface level stuff that you mostly see with people now because we've outsourced our need to think deeply about these problems to the AI. And so what I worry about is that we end up in a world where we are just humans just chauffeur level thinkers, just surface level thinkers. And a lot of the problems in society are created by, chauffeur level thinkers masquerading as real thinkers across any area. And so I worry a lot about that.
Do you think anyone could be an entrepreneur? And who shouldn't be an entrepreneur?
I mean, if you broadly define entrepreneur, absolutely. I think anyone can identify problems and go and create solutions. I don't think everyone should, though. I think anyone can, but not everyone should.
Who shouldn't?
If you are not the type of person that is willing to truly have everything on your back, you should not be an entrepreneur. I think that the harsh truth of entrepreneurship is that most people say they want freedom, but they actually just want the illusion of freedom. They wouldn't survive a day with the reality of it. Because entrepreneurship is not the glamorized version that you see on social media. Entrepreneurship is like being up at 1 in the middle of the night, stressing about whether or not an invoice is going to come in on time and whether you're going to meet payroll or whether you're going to be able to close that deal that your entire company's hinging on, or whether, you're doing enough, or whether you need to pivot the company. There is nothing comfortable about it because it's the recognition that everything is on you at all points in time.
Who's better at being an entrepreneur, type A or type B people?
That's a good question. How would you define type B?
Type B, I would say more impulsive, more quicker decision making, a little bit more chaotic, disorganized, not super great at planning.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the surface, actually, paradoxically, type B people would thrive more as an entrepreneur. The risk with type A people as entrepreneurs is that you're so organized, you're such a good planner, you're a perfectionist, and you never do anything. Right? It's like the trap of information gathering. You're like, dopamine from information gathering is a dangerous drug. Like, I'm going to go read all the things. I'm going to gather all this information. I'm going to take all these courses. I'm going to read all the books and do all these things. And then you get this big dopamine hit from it and say like, oh, look at all the stuff I've done. But you haven't actually done anything yet. Like the real person has gone and failed 20 times while the other person was reading all the instruction manuals on it. Like you can't read 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel and think you're an entrepreneur. Like real entrepreneurs have gone and tinkered with a whole bunch of stuff while the other person was reading a book. And so if you think about it as like entrepreneurship is really about awareness and action, all life is really about awareness and action. And the whole goal has to be to have a razor thin gap between awareness and action. Like from the moment you gather that information to the moment you are acting on that information, you need a razor thin gap between the two. And type A people, because they're perfectionists, tend to have a big gap. You like sit, you're gathering all this information for a long period of time, you're like stewing on it, planning all of these things, where someone that's just willing to go out and test it and figure it out, screw it up, and adjust, adapt, they're going to be more successful in the long run.